I get it standing in front of the sewing machine aisle, staring at a box that promises 7 needle power, and wondering if you're about to waste another $100 on a gadget that will end up gathering dust. That's exactly the conversation I had with a friend last week. She's been dabbling in small-scale quilting for a few years, and she just got a commission to stitch a set of embroidered patches for a local boutique. She asked me, should I splurge on this Janome MB7, or stick with my trusty single-needle machine and maybe add a second one later? I told her the answer would hinge on 3 things: how often she'll actually be using all 7 needles, whether she needs the on-screen editing while the machine runs, and how much space she's willing to carve out in her home studio. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down why those 3 points matter, and why the MB7 might be the right fit for some creators, and a needless expense for others. First off, the 7-needle layout is a real game changer if you're planning to produce multiple color designs in a row without having to rethread. Imagine you're making a batch of embroidered tote bags with a logo that uses 5 thread colors. On a single-needle machine you'd have to stop after each color, change the thread, and manually reposition the hoop, which can add 10 to 15 minutes per bag. With the MB7, you load each color onto its own needle, set the design, and the machine automatically jumps between needles. In a real-world test that a few hobbyists have posted online, a 20-piece order that would have taken a couple of hours on a single-needle setup was cut down to about half that time. If you're already getting paid per piece, that speed translates directly into higher profit margins. That speed, though, comes with a trade-off. The machine's automatic jump thread feature is fantastic when you have the right design ready, but it also means you need to spend a bit more time upfront preparing the file and loading the correct threads into the correct needles. The remote 5.7-inch screen makes that process smoother because you can edit the design right there, scaling, rotating, or swapping thread colors without a separate computer. For someone who's comfortable working in design software and wants to tweak things on the fly, that screen is a huge convenience. If you're more of a plug-and-play kind of crafter, you might find the learning curve a little steep, especially if you never used a multi-needle machine before. Space is another practical consideration. The MB7 is a fairly large unit. You'll need a dedicated workbench that can accommodate its footprint and the accompanying hoops. The machine does come with industry-standard hoops that can take a 12-inch embroidery area, which is generous for most home-based projects. However, if you're cramped in a small apartment or a shared studio, you'll have to measure twice before committing. People who already have a roomy sewing corner will appreciate that the machine sits solidly and doesn't wobble when it's running at its top speed. Those living in tight quarters may end up spending more on a dedicated table or shelving just to make the machine functional. Now, who should actually buy this? If you're a small business owner, or a serious hobbyist who routinely produces multicolor embroidery, think logos, corporate branding, or intricate quilting patterns, that's where the MB7 shines. Its ability to handle up to 7 thread colors without manual changes saves both time and mental fatigue. The built-in screen also means you can make quick adjustments without pulling out a laptop, which is a subtle but real ergonomic benefit when you're working long sessions. Additionally, the machine's compatibility with a variety of file formats and industry hoops makes it future-proof. You won't be forced to buy proprietary accessories down the line. Conversely, if your projects are mostly single-color monograms, simple applique, or occasional quilting patches, the MB7 will likely be overkill. You could accomplish those tasks with a high-quality single-needle embroidery machine at a fraction of the price, and you'd avoid the extra setup time of loading multiple threads. Also, if you're new to computerized embroidery, the learning curve, especially mastering the remote screen and the jump thread function, might feel intimidating. In those cases, starting with a simpler model and upgrading later could be a smarter financial move. Let's talk about the practical strengths that actually affect day-to-day use. The biggest is the speed boost. The MB7 runs at a respectable 800 stitches per minute, which is faster than many single-needle machines in its price range. That means less waiting and more producing, especially when you're dealing with large runs. The automatic thread jumper also reduces the risk of human error, no more accidentally rethreading the wrong needle in the middle of a job. The 5.7-inch screen, while not a massive tablet, offers enough real estate to preview designs clearly and make incremental changes without needing a separate computer. Finally, the machine's ability to accept a wide range of file formats, DST, PES, EXP, etc., means you can source